Is Furina worth it? The answer is yes. The video is over. Very good gamers, how are we? This is Games and Chill, and today we're in a new video talking about Furina's famous C2 coup, Cone. The character that's gonna make Genshin not die on 5-4-2. That you may have a nice transition and leave you completely dry before 5-5 and Varese with Ian-san, Xianyun, and everything on the banners you already know from the following version. But above all, the character who has achieved a perfect balance between being a very big taste and preferred by the players, which does not always coincide with being a great general contribution in any account. So leave a good like, a good Bennett ulti, subscribe, leave a good comment for the algorithm. Thank you for enjoying and watching the video and the channel. I bring you the love and support. Remember that it does not cost you anything. Eat us free bang, recommend and position the video. Thank you for all that affection. Let's have a good time if you're eating.
Okay.
Link down here in the description, and remember that I'm not coming back until Wednesday, that you sent me to rest. Thank you for that too, because surely you see me exhausted at the end of so much rhythm without stopping for several years. And we're going with what's worth, Furina. Well, the start of this video is going to be very good because I uploaded a short that is from a video that was very decontextualized, where I said, don't throw for Furina, it's been long enough. But in the video, it's basically a play making an analogy with Furina, with folklores, with how they represent the trials in Fontaine, bringing them more to the point of the show than just something objective to know if something is right or wrong. And in that video, I spend 80% commenting on Furina's negative points. And at the end of the video I say, Furina is the best character in the game. Like it or not, to throw for it, and it is the best addition you can have in your lives as players of Genshin Impact. After that came out a short that will be around here or somewhere, I'll leave it in the description, where it was edited in a way in which basically first, it does fall down at the end that it is the best character in the game, but not very clear. And like people who are used to today, like there's zombies of fast dopamine to see. TikTok says a few energy men saw 80% of the short without seeing that subtle ending and everyone in the comments hating me. But what do you mean, Furina's bad? And let it be clear that, obviously, from the beginning of the video is the best character in the game. He's got his cons, he's got his things to balance it. Well, I think you know everything, that's why he's the best buffer in the game. It is also the most predisposed element to enable reactions. That is, the vaporized ones, the electrocharged ones, and on them vaporize. Any variant with inside, playing high problem, which is one of the most powerful reactions and above all to minimal investment. What else helps new accounts of people who play Genshin Impact? Apart from all that, the hydro element gives you the hydro consonance. And the hydro consonance that gives more life is literally the second most played alternative in the game. Because the first is the attack, and it's Bennett. And the best thing is that Furina fits perfectly. Perfect in this case in teams with Bennett anyway. With Mavuika you hardly have Citalali. With Alikino, with Kinnick, you also go with Bennett, and you enable Kinnick's more burn crackling, and it's also Moalani's best in slot. And not only that, but not only is this element so important and strong, but as you all know, it has the potential to give you 80%, 75% of Chero damage. 100% damage inflicted on C2 Daiwo. Well, to Cone, which is what increases the limit of 150 loads, and almost 120% to C3, which is the last C3. Whoever's so crazy to get out is C3. Now we get right into the constellations they make, and why they say some are overrated. We talk in depth about C2. But finally, Furina is not only the best buffer, not only the best support, not only the best element to be a support and enable reactions, Sino is also the best sub-DPS in the game. Furina's potential damage outside the field is the largest of any Genshin Impact characters. Furina! I put an asterisk here, big enough disclaimer. But especially Furina, as I said in other videos, has the ability to vaporize her strokes off the field. And when you vaporize with Hydro, it's 2 times the damage. When you vaporize with Pyro, as Xiangling does, it's by 1.5. But when it's with Hydro, it's by 2. This means that in equipment where Furina can actually vaporize, mainly some equipment with burn core, or some teams with a lot of pyro application in the field, Furina can vaporize blows off the field, and that you see a hit, depending on whether it matches the 3 animals he has, that have 3 different climbs, 200 or 300 grand outside the country. That is in many cases what a couple of years ago could come up with an average EULA. And I say an average EULA because it's true that there are some EULAs of 1 million, but an average EULA made 300, 400 that I know. You don't fool me. And the most common thing to be able to do in normal situations? I'm not talking about going to Escaramoix's boss, or putting food in the abyss and so on. That's it. So Furina can do that continuously outside the field in teams as teams with Kinish, mainly. Or pure burns from Emily, Furina and Xiangling Bennett, for example. Or many other combinations. Now, no matter how broken it is, you know that. And what the community loves the character quite unexpectedly. Because he's a character who's not the real Archon, you know that. And those who haven't done the story, so go make the story because she's really something else. The real Archon is not her. And in fact, there was the typical funnel and the typical heavy moment that we content creators have. And you as net players of a wave of tiny little girls, don't call Furina the Archon because she's the tiny Archon, but Furina Mini Mini, the Archon. And everyone considers Furina the Hydro Archon. And in spite of all that and the affection you have for him, still, always, in order to make content, I also understand it by many people. There are discordant things so much in your chalice that gives for another video. Quiet, like in their constellations. And yes, surely you have heard recently say, constellations are overrated. That's a lie, like a house. Furina has a capacity of almost 80-75% damage to Chero. Then with the C2 you can increase up to 100%. And if we go to that argument, it is true that a C2 with what it costs for a 20-25% damage inflicted, it's not as worth it as it might seem. And that's totally true. Here comes the fallacy. Constellations don't just make you win that 20% damage inflicted on the entire team. The cone gives you 150 more limit points, which is the one that makes you get to that 100% audit. And it also makes you start with 150 points, with which you already start the rotation with more damage inflicted. It's potentially commented by your DPS, a scoundrel. But aside, what Furina does 0T 75-80% is a lie. It's potential damage in quotation marks. But get all the charges with a Furina. In Furina's normal teams, I mean teams like I say, for example from Mavuika, where you don't have Shonen, Alekino's teams, Noivillet's teams, that inside here sees Noivillet, as also Dry gives you more burdens. Mualani's teams, I mean teams before there was Sitlali. And the top 10 teams in the game where Furina goes, if you don't have a character that has overhealthing like Baidu or Jean, which are not on the best teams in the game, except Noivillet's, practically. You don't reach all the charges. The thing is, with Cone you already start with 150 loads, and you get very fast the 80% damage inflicted. Maybe not 100, and the C2 makes your loads get 250% faster. I mean, more than 3 times fast. So on any team to C2 you already get at 5 seconds. As maximum all charges. And in teams where you can cure yourself a minimum. At 3 seconds he's got all the charges. And that difference in damage isn't just 20%. Not a 40. 50 to C3, which is the last of 3. That potential difference in damage to a team. It's more than 40% damage to the entire team. Not a character in the field like many of the buffos in Genshin Impact. Like Mavuika's, that's a Ponde Pyro. Or Bennett's, who's the character in the field. It's the whole damn team. 4 characters. It's like a team of 4 characters. You add up to 1.5 characters doing more damage. It's crazy. So, what's with all this? That if we add to the C2, not just winning the loads faster. See, know that once you are to full loads, you make a fool of yourself, to the point of reaching up to 60,000 of life, as in Furina, and your scaled up base for harm is that. It turns out that with C2 you can also multiply Furina's own damage by another 50% additional, and then if you vaporize this on top of it, so imagine the burn you can do becoming the best sub DPS in the game. The best buffer in the game. And Chero, the best character in the game, a C2 even more, as a support. Like carry, it would be Mavuika, at the best carry in the game. Is Furina worth it? Well, ladies and gentlemen, no. You can imagine. It would be very epic if the previous video was all the videos saying Furina's cons, and in the end, saying it's worth it. And this video selling that Furina alright, and in the end saying it's not worth it. To make the cinema absolute now. But no, the truth is it was Mavuika who was the best carry in the game, and be a very good support. And in my opinion, Mavuika and Furina compete for being the best character in the game. Furina in an established form, which is your third. Well, your second rerun in this case. Mavuika didn't even have reruns. He's the best character. At least play support. So you're not gonna regret it. You're going to enjoy it a lot. You're gonna fit her into any team, because it goes with life teams and attack teams, which are the two variants mainly that there are in all Genshin Impact. And the top 10 teams in the game. Furina is in 8 or 9. So throw for Furina today! And to share this video to anyone that she likes Furina from your groups. Or say it's not right, Furina. You send it to him and enjoy it. And with the haters as a pinky.
Okay.
A little more. Have a nice day. And Chaito.